So having understood the various domains of ITGC and the various activities which fall under these domains, now let us look at when we should start testing the general IT controls. Testing of controls in IT will follow our understanding of the IT environment. While it is simple and straightforward for us to time the understanding of IT environment, which is required as a part of our planning process in the audit, and it is a requirement of SA 315, where we need to obtain an understanding of the business environment, including the IT environment. The testing of ITGCs or GITCs depends on several factors. We will discuss all these factors in detail. First and foremost, we need to understand the effectiveness of entity level controls. Entity level controls are the high level controls which the company has implemented, which include your control environment, the risk assessment, monitoring of controls, and information and communication. So these are the components of internal control framework that a company needs to put into place. And we as auditors need to perform an evaluation of the entity level controls. In entity level controls, there are certain controls which are specific to general information technology controls that we need to understand and evaluate. We have seen and understood about the IT governance level controls in the earlier slides. Let us take two scenarios. In case the entity level controls are not found to be effective, that is, assume that the company has not implemented the required policies and procedures across the company to manage and govern the IT systems. In this case, it is likely that we may not be required or we should not be relying on the GITCs because the entity level controls are not adequate. However, if you take another scenario where a company has implemented effective entity level controls and the policies, procedures are all applied and monitored and assessed on a regular basis and they have been found to be effective, in that case, we can go ahead and look at the reliance on ITGCs. In that case, we may want to test the ITGCs for the entire year. Another factor to consider our timing of testing for ITGCs is understanding of the business process and controls. As we are aware, our understanding of the businesses of the client and the internal controls that are built in will provide us insight to the level of automation that is involved in the ERP or the level of automation that a company has put into place. If the level of automation is high, then the chances are we may have to rely more on GITCs or ITGCs. In which case, our testing of ITGCs should start earlier in the audit rather than later. Also, another relevant factor would be the dependence on IT. To what extent the company, the business, the transactions, and the auditors are dependent on the IT for carrying out the audit. That would give us an indicator of when to test ITGCs. If the dependency is high, it is likely we may want to test the ITGCs earlier in the audit rather than later. The reason being, if you test the GITCs later in the day and you found deficiencies, then it could have an impact on the audit very late in the day. That is the reason, if the level of automation and the dependence on IT is high, the tendency is to test ITGCs earlier in the audit. Another factor to consider is the risk assessment. What is the company's risk assessment on general information technology controls? What is our risk assessment as auditors on the general information technology controls? The risk assessment basically rates each of the control as high, medium, and low. Typically, this is the rating that we follow when assessing the risks. If we believe that there are several controls in IT which are high risk, or if we believe there are several controls which are automated or IT dependent, which fall into the high level of risk, then it is likely that we may want to test our ITGCs earlier in the audit rather than later. However, on the contrary, if we believe that the risk assessment performed for the business or the process or the controls tends to be on low risk, if the IT is not that critical for our audit and there are only controls which are medium to low risk, then it is likely we may want to test general IT controls towards the later part of the audit. Another factor to consider is how many processes or what activities of IT have been outsourced. Today, a lot of companies, especially the large companies, have a tendency to outsource routine IT activities to external firms or external service providers. In this case, where the IT or the IT activities have been outsourced, we need to probably start planning our testing of IT earlier, because there is a dependency on an external service provider and we have to factor to test our controls in the external service provider. For this purpose, we may even want to call for a report of the effectiveness of controls at the outsourced service provider. All this would require a lot of planning and follow-up. So we should plan our test of ITGCs earlier in the day when there are several activities which are outsourced. Another factor to consider, which is an important factor, is what deficiencies were observed in the past year's audit. Is there a history of deficiencies in ITGCs in the company? In case there are deficiencies, it is likely that we would want to test ITGCs again early in the year. If we have tested a company for several years and the deficiencies are low and the company has good and effective IT, then our audit may be scheduled for a little later in the audit process. When new systems are implemented or new upgrades happen to IT or the applications, we may want to get involved earlier and test the GITCs so that there is adequate coverage for the legacy system and also the new system. The level of effort involved will be higher when compared to testing one single system. So as we have seen, it is not a straightforward answer of when to test ITGCs. The factors that we just discussed are a few that we should consider in determining the timing of our test of ITGCs. In a typical ERP environment, however, it is more likely that testing for GITCs is performed earlier in the audit rather than later in the audit because of several dependencies. Also, we should remember that in deciding the timing of GITCs, the auditor should also factor the possibility of having found new deficiencies during the current year. And there should be sufficient time for the management to remediate those deficiencies and be ready for retest during the same year. This would fall under the category of remediation testing for the auditors. On the other hand, if we tend to test GITCs late in the day or towards the year end, then it is likely that there may not be sufficient time to remediate deficiencies and retest the remediated controls. We will look at in more detail what is the impact of deficiencies which are coming in GITCs later in this session. Now let us take a look at the sample size requirements when testing GITCs. The methodology and approach for testing GITCs in an audit of financial statements is the same as the approach for testing any other internal controls like manual controls and automated controls. Accordingly, the sample size requirements when testing general information technology controls are also the same. Some of the considerations that we need to take into account when auditing or testing GITCs and the sample size that we need to pick up are as follows. So we need to understand what is the population. What is the size of the population? For example, how many program changes have happened during the year? If our audit period is April to March, then it is likely that there could be hundreds of changes in the programs. Depending on the size of the population, we need to accordingly determine the sample size requirement. So population is a key consideration for determining the sample size. What is the type of control? The type of control, that is, if the control is automated, manual, or IT dependent, would determine the size of sample. Typically, for an automated control, a test of 1 would be sufficient. However, for a manual control, the sample size is again dependent on the population. For example, if the process of user modification is automated, if the process of user creation is automatic, or if the backups are being taken through an automated backup schedule procedure, then it is considered as an automated control, in which case we would just restrict ourselves to check the configuration at a point in time. However, if a control is a manual control, even within ITGC, say for example, the changes go through an approval process and changes go through a UAT sign-off, approval, and the implementation sign-off, in which case we may have to treat the control as a manual control, and accordingly we select a sample size which is equal to the size that we would pick up for a manual control. The other factor when determining the sample size when testing GITC is the frequency of the control. So how often does the control operate? Is it daily? Is it monthly? Is it weekly? So we need to make a determination of the frequency of the control while determining the sample size. The size of sample is directly proportional to the frequency of the control. Another factor to consider is the nature and timing of test. So what is the type of test that we are going to perform? So we have 4 types of test when testing any type of control. That is inquiry, examination or inspection, observation, and reperformance. If we are doing a control test by examination, we may want to pick up slightly higher sample size. If we are doing a test of control through reperformance, we may go for a lesser sample size, because reperformance gives us more assurance as compared to inquiry or examination. Hence, the nature of test of controls determines the size of sample that we can take. Another factor is the history of errors. If there is a history of errors in that company and there are deficiencies in the IT controls, it is likely that we would go for a higher sample size. In case, on the contrary, if we have seen that the deficiencies are very less and there are no deficiencies and IT controls are effective, in that case, we may take a judgment that we would take a lesser sample size for the current year. What is the effectiveness of entity level controls? The effectiveness of entity level controls also has a bearing on the sample size. If the ELCs are found to be effective, we may want to test less sample size. However, if the entity level controls are not found to be effective, or there are gaps in the effectiveness of entity level controls, it is possible that we may pick up a higher size of samples. Again, just to reiterate, all these considerations are not specific to IT. These are considerations for testing any control in the audit. Last but not the least, The most important criteria to consider is the risk assessed. Like what is the risk assessed for the specific control? Like we have discussed, risk assessed could be a high risk, medium risk, or low risk, depending on the level of assurance or depending on the type of control that has been implemented. If it is a control which is a high risk control, it is likely that we may pick up more number of samples. Whereas if it is a low risk control, we may want to pick lesser samples. So just to summarize, our picking up of sample sizes for testing general information technology controls is very similar to what we would do for any other control testing. Here, as auditors, we should apply our professional judgment in determining the sample size for testing controls. And the most important thing is for us to document, which is a requirement of SA 230. We need to document the reason or the rationale or the justification for picking up a particular sample size for our audit. We also need to document the source from which we have obtained the population, and last but not the least, the completeness of the source population. So, for example, if we say we have obtained a list of 400 changes from the ERP for the year, how do we know that it is only 400? What have we done to ensure that it is 400? So, we need to document our justification and the process that we have followed and the method that we have applied to ensure that the source is a reliable source and the population that we have obtained is a complete population. For this purpose, it is suggested that the population is extracted in the presence of the auditor from the ERP system with the help of IT team. And the source of the population should be from the ERP system itself, preferably. Alternately, we can also obtain a list from any other ticketing tool or ticketing system. Now let us take a look at the impact of deficiencies in GITCs on our audit. So just like any other control, GITCs, when we test, it is likely that we encounter deficiencies. So what is the impact? As we know that GITCs are supporting the operation of automated controls and automated application controls. And in case there are deficiencies in GITCs, there could be a direct impact on the level of reliance we can place on the automated controls within the ERP. Also, if there is a deficiency in the operation or the effectiveness of GITCs, it is likely to impact our reliance on the sensitive access and segregation of duties which are implemented in the ERP. We may not be able to rely totally on the sensitive access and segregation of duties. The dependent controls on IT or the IT dependent controls cannot be relied if there are deficiencies in GITCs. Also, IPEs, that is information produced by entity, which is the key reports or the data which is extracted from the IT systems and the ERP system, cannot be relied if the ITGCs are not effective. It is possible because of all the above factors, like not being able to rely on our automated controls, not being able to rely on the sensitive access and segregation of duties, and IT dependent controls, and also the reports which are used both in controls as well as substantive audit procedures. It is likely that our audit approach could undergo a change. It is possible that we would have planned the audit to rely on the controls. However, after noting deficiencies in ITGCs, it is possible that we may have to change our audit approach and do more substantive audit. In case of significant deficiencies or serious deficiencies, we may have to also report the findings or the deficiencies to at least management, and depending on the nature of the deficiency, we may also have to report it to the people who are charged with the governance within the company. That is, those charged with governance. Typically, it is the board or the audit committee or any other system which is equivalent. We may also have to mention the deficiencies in our audit report, and also it could have an impact on the opinion that we give, especially the opinion on internal financial controls. So as we can see that GITCs form the central component for our reliance on the overall IT systems and environment, including the automated control, segregation of duties, reports, and other controls. And the impact could be pervasive, because if you remember the first thing we discussed, that GITCs are pervasive in nature, and if there is a deficiency in GITC, it is very likely to have a pervasive impact on all our audit procedures and control testing specifically. So with this, we come to the conclusion of this session on general information technology controls. I hope this session has given you more insight and knowledge into how to audit in a ERP environment better. Just to recap what we have learned in this session, we have understood what general information technology controls are. We have seen the definition of GITCs. We have understood various categories of controls which as relate to GITCs. We have also understood the impact of GITCs on a financial statement audit. We saw how to scope the GITCs or the ERP systems when we are performing our audit of GITCs. We have also understood the sample size requirements when doing a testing of general information technology controls. We understood the various categories or domains of GITCs, such as the IT governance, the program changes, the access security, the data center and network operations, the acquisition of new systems and implementation of new systems. We have also seen how deficiencies in GITCs impact our audit, and we have seen when to test GITCs in the overall audit. So thank you